Let's talk about something we all think we understand: motivation. What actually makes us want to work hard? What drives us to really truly apply ourselves? You probably think you know the answer, but I'm going to bet the truth is a lot weirder and way more interesting than you imagine.
I mean, think about it for a second. It's the most basic question for any manager, any parent, any coach. How do you get people to do their best?
And the obvious answer, the one we all jump to, is cash, right? Bigger salary, bigger bonus. It's the simple transactional view of work. You want more from me? Pay me more. It's how a huge chunk of the modern economy is designed to work.
But what if that whole model is just wrong, or at least deeply incomplete? Because a whole bunch of fascinating behavioral experiments show that our motivation is not that simple. It's not rational. In fact, money is often a surprisingly weak tool. So let's dig into the science, because this is where it gets really good.
Okay, first up, we're looking at an idea called Sisyphus at work. You know the old Greek myth, right? This guy Sisyphus is doomed for all eternity to push a giant rock up a hill, only to have it roll right back down every single time. So this experiment asks, does that feeling of futile labor, completely destroy our will to work?
So picture this. Researchers get people in a room and offer them money to build Lego Bionicles. Simple enough. Now, for the first group, the meaningful group, every time they finish a cool little robot, the researcher takes it and puts it under the table, saved for later. But for the second group, the Sisyphean group, the moment they clip that last piece into place, the researcher takes it, smashes it into pieces right in front of them, and puts the parts back in the box. Oof. One tiny change. How much could that possibly matter?
Well, it mattered a lot. It wasn't even close. The group whose work was preserved built, on average, almost 11 Bionicles. The Sisyphean group? They gave up way earlier, building only about 7. Just watching their work get instantly destroyed was powerfully demotivating.
And here is the real kicker. They found that people who genuinely loved building with Legos worked way harder in the meaningful condition. But in the Sisyphean condition, their passion made absolutely no difference. A meaningless environment can just snuff out that internal fire, no matter how bright it was to begin with.
All right, so destroying work is a motivation killer. Got it. But what's the absolute bare minimum of meaning we need? This next experiment gets at a really subtle but crucial question. Is having your work immediately destroyed worse than just having it completely ignored?
Okay, here's the setup. People get paid to do a boring task, find pairs of letters on a sheet of paper. There were 3 conditions. In Group 1, the acknowledged group, when you hand in your sheet, the experimenter looks it over, gives a little nod and a quick, and puts it in a pile. In Group 2, the shredded group, they don't even look at it. They just feed it straight into a paper shredder. And then there's Group 3, the ignored group. Here, the researcher takes the paper and just puts it on a giant stack of other papers. No glance, no nod, no shredder, just oblivion.
So what do you think? We know being acknowledged is good, and we know being shredded is bad. But where does being ignored fall on that spectrum? Is it almost as good as getting a little nod, or is it just as bad as the shredder?
This is wild. The people who were ignored performed almost identically to the people whose work was shredded. Let that sink in. Being ignored was nearly as soul-crushing as watching your effort get literally torn to pieces. That tiny aha, that simple act of acknowledgement, made a world of difference.
The lesson here is so powerful. If you want to demotivate someone, you don't have to yell at them or tear up their report. All you have to do is ignore their effort. But, and this is the hopeful part, the opposite is also true. It shows how incredibly easy it is to give work meaning. A quick glance, a simple nod, a thanks, got it. That can be enough.
So we've been looking at how things outside of us affect our motivation. But now let's switch gears and look inside. There's this incredible bias we all have called the IKEA effect, and it explains why we fall head over heels in love with our own creations.
You know exactly what this is. It's that slightly wobbly bookshelf you spent 6 hours assembling with a tiny Allen key. You love that thing, right? You think it's fantastic. The IKEA effect is our tendency to place a much higher value on things we've built ourselves purely because of the effort we sank into them.
So to test this, they did this awesome experiment with origami. They had one group, the creators, fold some simple paper frogs and cranes. Then they asked them how much they'd be willing to pay to buy their own little paper creation. On average, they bid 23 cents. But then they asked another group, the observers, how much they'd pay for that exact same kind of lopsided origami. Their average bid, 5 cents. To the creators, it was art.
To everyone else, it was just crumpled paper.
But wait, it gets even crazier. The researchers then showed the observers origami made by an actual expert, perfectly folded, beautiful stuff, and they valued that at 27 cents. Now think about that for a second. The people who made their own clumsy origami valued their work at 23 cents, almost the exact same price as a masterpiece. We are totally blind to how much we overvalue our own stuff.
It really just boils down to this simple truth. The effort isn't just a cost we pay to get something. The effort itself is what forges the connection. We put a piece of ourselves into what we make, and so we see it differently.
All right, so let's put all these pieces together. Sisyphus, the shredder, the IKEA bookshelf. What are the big principles we can pull from all this about how work and motivation, and even love, really operate?
It seems to come down to 4 key ideas. First, effort changes us. The work we put in actually alters our perception of value. Second, the more labor we put in, the more we love the outcome. More sweat equals more love. Third, we're totally biased. We think everyone else sees our amazing IKEA bookshelf the same way we do, but they don't. And finally, you have to actually finish it. That feeling of attachment doesn't kick in if you leave the project half done.
So in the end, motivation isn't a clean spreadsheet where you trade X hours for Y dollars. It's this messy, wonderful, irrational, and deeply human force. It's all about purpose, pride, effort, and that feeling of completion. It's about finding meaning even if it's just in a Lego robot or a folded piece of paper.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. If we know that putting in the effort is what actually creates that feeling of attachment, satisfaction, and even love, where in your own life could you invest a little more of yourself? In your work, in a hobby, at home? Because pouring that effort in might just be the most valuable thing you can do.